I'm not going to Google it right now. Welcome to Loosely Defined, friends. That was like a weird build-in right there.
Yeah.
Welcome to Loosely Defined. It's me. I'm Bo. That is Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just got off of Thanksgiving break. We're recording this the Monday or Cyber Monday.
Oh yeah, it is Cyber Monday.
Are you doing anything like shopping, online shopping? Did you do any Black Friday stuff?
I probably should because of Christmas, but I need to sort out. A boy's got to sort out his finances.
I thought you were gonna say sort out the naughty and nice list.
No, I did. I did renew my Adobe Premiere Pro membership today with the Cyber Monday deal, so I can continue to edit this podcast. That would have been poor timing to lose it this right on the day we record. So yeah, I renewed that. But other than that, no, I don't know. Maybe I'll look into something tonight while I'm at work before the deals actually end, and maybe I can get some of the gifts I'm going to get for people from Cyber Monday. I guess that's the main point of Black Friday and Cyber Monday shopping, ideally, is to buy stuff for other people. But, I haven't.
I feel like it's been more, maybe just because I haven't been like super tuned in to the deals and stuff like that, but I feel like it's been way more toned down this year than it has in years past. Like,
it's probably a good thing.
I mean, yeah, like consumerism bad. Actually, did you see that Amazon, like one of the warehouses in not the US, and I can't remember where the fuck it was, but somewhere in the world, they like, I think it's Germany, I could be wrong, but they fucking protested during Black Friday. Like, and it was supposed to last through tomorrow, through Tuesday. So like, if that actually stuck, that's huge.
Well, I think there was a strike in general for Amazon. I'm not totally sure, but I think there was a strike. Because I saw people pointing out that it's probably not good to do Amazon. Like, I have specifically avoided Prime Day and like Amazon's Black Friday and Cyber Monday stuff for a couple of years now. Like, I'm sure by shopping at Target or Walmart when I do, it's just as bad. But like, I specifically with Amazon, even though I do have Prime and I do order things from time to time, I'm probably not going to renew my Prime this year. That's going to come up next month. And I'll just like, if I need Prime Video or something, I'll just use my dad's. But in general, I'm trying to limit specifically my Amazon usage because I don't think that'll really make a difference, but it's just a matter of like, I don't really need it. And it's like so bad compared to some of the other ones, like the way they like treat their workers, and Jeff Bezos in particular, how much wealth he's hoarding. Like we've said we were not going to get political on this, but this is relevant. Like, I mean, well,
tying it into pop culture, Sorry to Bother You, I think does a really good job. Like the movie by Boots Riley with Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson.
Which we did cover on the old version of the show.
Yes, we did.
Which you can find on the Passion Project online podcast feed. Should still be there.
So call back to that episode and connecting to this relevant conversation about Amazon. Like that entire movie is just shitting on Amazon's corporate structure and how they like are dehumanizing workers and stuff like that. Like since that movie specifically, I've been like, okay, like I try to like be a conscious consumer, but like at this point I'm going to kind of be I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of the last time I actually ordered something from Amazon.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I ordered whatever because I just moved in and I didn't know any of the stores and stuff like that. So I get that there is like the like unbeatable convenience factor, but like,
I mean, that's the thing. And their infrastructure is like something that even if like the revolution were to happen and people were to like kidnap Jeff Bezos and take over Amazon, like it's not like something you would want to completely get rid of. Like they have
some
like
form of Amazon would persist.
Yeah. Like their cloud servers, I think are like the strongest in the world or something. So it's like you would want to use that infrastructure for something. Like Amazon's one of those things that I don't necessarily think needs to go away so much as it needs to be like broken up and demonopolized and have wealth distributed better. And I mean, at the very minimum, like even if like just the workers should be treated better and paid better. Like at the bare minimum, like you shouldn't like pregnant women in their like shouldn't have to work factory jobs where they're running around and get like a day of maternity leave. Like it's, like that's probably all exaggerated, but I just remember listening to like an NPR thing like 5 years ago where they were talking about it, and as far as I know, it hasn't gotten any worse. And it was all like horror stories like that where people had like they were sick or like hurt, like broken legs or whatever, or they were pregnant and like they had to still like work through like almost all of that with like, you know, risk of being fired for even missing, like not only missing time, but even if they were on the clock, like if you don't hit the deliveries like exact, like you are like completely fucked. Plus, like as far as I know, they're like, you know, Amazon factory workers aren't making a livable wage, so it's like the hardest work for the least reward.
And it's everywhere. Like so like I live near USC Stadium and then like the Rams Stadium or whatever, and there are ads for Amazon everywhere, like on every all the billboards, on all of the like they're just, I mean, no, they're not buses, it's the Amazon Prime like vans or whatever. They're just always around. So like even when I'm like with all of the knowledge that you just, you know, like I none of that was a surprise to me, but I'm also like, and also just thinking about the last time I did actually, because I really was like, when was the last time I used Amazon? It was to get the webcam that I'm using right now. Because like, you know, like I couldn't, the Target didn't have it, and like I'm not about to go around all the weird electronics.
Find a Radio Shack that's still open.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to a Fry's that's like an hour away. But just the convenience of, I need a webcam. Oh, they have the 1-day delivery thing? Sure. Yeah. And then as I go to the fucking Trader Joe's, they have a Amazon locker right there. Like that is one of the most convenient shopping experiences I've ever had. But also, I don't want to know, like I feel bad about who put it there. Like
that's like the main thing. I think if we all learn to just not expect 2-day shipping on stuff, like then that would be better, because that's like really what kills it, is the fact that like they have to get these packages so quickly, like and it's not like, I think people think it's like robots doing all of it, like it's fully just people like grabbing your, you know, copy of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from like one part of the factory and sprinting it across to the other and like putting it in a box and like sorting everything, and then also having to run and grab your Tide Pods, like it's like it's all done by the people in the factory, and I'm sure they have like some like mechanical stuff to help, like maybe something to drive around the factory, but it's still like all sorted by hand and by people who are not like paid well. So, and even
if we got into the whole, oh well, you know, why don't they, like that sounds like a robot could do that. You're right. A robot totally will do this very soon. And then these people are going to be out of jobs, and we're just going to have to. Yeah. So PlayStation is turning 25 tomorrow.
Oh my God.
I've been trying to figure out a transition out of that. I'm just like, we got super.
Yeah. We kept going there. We got our soapbox.
It's important. Support. I don't know what the fuck to do. I know I don't know.
Smarter people than us
25. Yes.
Can give you more information on this if you're curious.
Yes. Yeah. Last week we ranked the Pokemon generations. If you're coming to us for answers on the economy and how to, you know, that's not,
and how to stop monopolies, then we are clearly a part of the problem. So.
Yes. Yes.
We would like to defer to someone who knows more than we do. So let's now praise another major corporation.
Go Sony. Holy shit.
Yeah.
At one point, someone called me out for having a PlayStation tattoo. I was at like in San Diego, and someone was like, "Oh, I would never get like a corporate brand put on my body." And like for half a second, I was like, "Oh shit, am I like?" And I'm like, "No, I don't give a shit. I love PlayStation, and like I feel like it is just as a, you know, as like gamer is like a big part of my identity. Yeah. Like PlayStation is kind of." Like my grandparents had a PS1 at their house. Like they didn't have any, like they didn't know what it was, but like, and I still don't know how it got there. Like I know I played like Twisted Metal. I have like very fond memories of playing OG PlayStation. Like I don't know. I always go back and forth over whether like what was my actual first hands-on gaming memory, and it was either Twisted Metal at my grandparents' house or Smash Bros on the N64 in like a weird hotel. They had an N64 hooked up to the TV, and you could like pay however much to whatever.
I had a barbershop that did that.
That's awesome. That makes so much sense.
Play Nintendo 64 while you're sitting there.
That's great.
That's actually how I got good at remembering where the buttons were on a controller, because you could do it over the thing, but you'd have to like move it around and not get hair in it. So eventually I just like put it under the little blanket and just had it underneath and like remembered where the fucking buttons were on the N64 controller, which was a hard controller to learn because it's fucking weirdo.
It's just a spaceship.
But to go back into PlayStation, my first home console, because I started playing games mostly on PC, like a lot of Flash games. and PC games.
Like coolmath.com.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, more like Nickelodeon had some good ones. And there
the
was
Danny
also
Phantom Shipbuilder.
there was also some good Cartoon Network ones, and I think Post, the cereal company, had some good ones too.
I can't vouch for that. I can vouch for the Nickelodeon and the Cartoon Network games.
But
being
yeah,
good.
Lego.com, excellent ones as well. But my first home console after I had like a Game Boy Color was a, or maybe I had a Game Boy Advance too at this point. But anyway, it was a PS2. And so that was like the first, like, that's why people shit on the DualShock. Maybe not the DualShock 4, but like the DualShock 2 and 3. I just got used to it. That was like what felt normal to me. And like then I would use the Xbox controller and it just felt so big and clunky.
Yeah.
And I know like objectively I'm wrong or whatever. Like most people agree that the Xbox controller is like the best one. And it does feel comfortable, don't get me wrong. But like I like my DualShock. I like the way the buttons are laid out.
Yep.
I really like symmetrical control sticks. I never ever understood that at all. That's why actually I have the Switch Pro controller here, which is pretty much just an Xbox controller, the way the control sticks are laid out.
The stick layout, yeah.
But the Wii U Pro controller was like the same design, but the sticks were symmetrical. And I thought that's still probably my favorite controller I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it takes the best of both the DualShock and the Xbox controller. Does Xbox controller have a name?
I don't think so.
Well, anyway, yeah, the PlayStation 2
I don't
was my first console, and like my first game that I had on it that I like fell in love with was the first Ratchet and Clank. So to like start with a like killer exclusive app was like the best way to be introduced to it. It's like how most people are introduced to like Nintendo through Mario, like not through playing, some multi-platform
The Legend of Zelda,
on it.
Season of Oracles or whatever.
Well, no, I meant more specifically like not playing even like an exclusive on it. Like a lot of people I feel like got into PlayStations because they played like Call of Duty or whatever, and it happened to be on a PlayStation. But the fact that I like fell in love with it through Ratchet and Clank, and then played like Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter. I'm like, I have literally all my PS2 games right here, and like
just staring at them.
The PS2. I was actually trying to think about this before we started, maybe as a hot take for later, but of what my favorite PlayStation was of the three that I owned, because I didn't play much PS1. I just played a few licensed games at friends' houses, and actually it's right here. I have the Spider-Man game for the PS1.
Do you have Simpsons Hit and Run?
No, but that was PS2, I thought. But anyway,
I have no idea. I don't know.
But yeah, the PS2 had so many good exclusives. Shadow of the Colossus, Eco. What else do I have here? Like I said,
do you have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, because that was my first. We got Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and then I think it was Soul Calibur 2, 3, whichever Soul Calibur came out for the PS2.
Well, I have 3 on PS2, but 2 also came out. 2 was the one where if you had it on GameCube, you could play as Link.
Yeah.
If you had it on PS2, you could play as some dude from Tekken. And then if you had it on Xbox, you could play as like Spawn, I think.
I remember Spawn being. Yeah.
And then 3 didn't have any guest characters, but that was my first Soul Calibur, and it was dope.
Okay, then I think it was 3. I don't remember there being any special flair or whatever on any character. And then now I'm all nostalgic about Soul Calibur. Like I was like really disappointed that Soul Calibur 6 didn't like pull me in, because I thought, oh shit, like this looks fantastic, and Geralt of Rivia is in there, so like I'm gonna no, Noctis is in Tekken. But I was just like, I don't know, it's gonna help me get back into the gaming franchise that like arguably if Soul Calibur was not one of the 3 games, because it was Soul Calibur, Tony Hawk, and then Midnight Club. Like if Soul Calibur was not in that first lineup of games, I don't think I'd be into fighting games like in general, because it's one of those like I didn't end up putting it as one of my hot takes, but I was just thinking about like fighting games are really, really fun, but like you need so much, like if you just have gone all of your gaming career, never picked up a fighting game before, I feel like you're not going to like mid-20s just get into Tekken really, like you're not going to, like it's too much internal language and stuff like that. What's the word? Like vernacular.
I think that's true
slang.
for video games in general. Like, it's hard to get into them later in life. Because it's like all about like muscle memory and like just like having like there's a YouTuber I follow called Razbuten, Razbuten, and he's done 2 videos now on having his wife who's never played games before like try games, and it's like a sort of a study, like an informal experiment on how someone who's never played games before reacts to like gaming like mechanics, and like has a lack of like awareness of certain things that we would probably consider normal. And it's a really interesting series. I suggest people look it out. It's just like games for the non-gamer or something like that. But it's funny because going back to the PlayStation, when I first got Ratchet and Clank, I struggled because I used a Game Boy before and had the D-pad down. Like I understood mechanic, like how to use a D-pad, but I didn't know how to use an analog stick yet. Like I was learning. I was like 6 years old. And through Ratchet and Clank, I learned how to use an analog stick because it's a platformer, and you could control your movement via the D-pad in that. It was an alternate option, and that was the way I did it at first. And I got to like the second world, and there was like a part where you have to like walk on like a narrow pathway that's like winding, and I just couldn't do it with the D-pad. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. Like, and my brother was like the one using the analog stick, and he was like, use it, it's how you get past this. And I was like, no, I couldn't. And eventually it like trained me to do it, and now like that had clearly opened the door for me to play other console games or games with a controller. And also I think it's a big part of why I still like I feel like when I really think of like what are games to me, like what do I think of as games, like what are the majority of my gaming experiences, it's like RPGs, and that mostly comes from playing Pokemon on handheld, and then platformers on a console, and that includes like what I consider like some of the evolutions of that, which is a lot of like modern action adventure games like Assassin's Creed or Uncharted and stuff. Like it's like those kind of like I love fighting games, but I kind of came to them later, other than Smash Bros. And I love driving games and skating, like a lot of that stuff, but it's just not like when I think of like what is a game to me, like what do I think of first as a video game, like what's like my prime example. I really think of like platformers and RPGs, and I think it's that initial experience. But yeah.
Okay, so I just realized like I don't really have much affinity toward platforming games, and I think it's because I don't have like the early experiences. Like obviously I'm trying to think of the first Mario I've ever played, and I think it was for the DS, like New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, which was still like, to me, the fact that I have memories of those ads on TV means that I was too old for it to like have had that like innate, like I now love platforming. Cause like even when I played Odyssey, like I had the like nostalgia for Mario, but then when the game ended, I was like, I feel nothing. Like I don't need to, like I never need to play this game again.
You don't get the rush out of like the actual gameplay. Yeah,
like to me, for a game to be considered a platformer, like I feel like most of the dopamine that's released in your brain should land like or should get released when you land a jump, like make it difficult. Like when I watch Uncharted gameplay or like Tomb Raider gameplay, I'll see people like, oh, like they exhale as they make the landing, or they will climb up and then something will like pop out of the wall, and then they're like, oh shit, like that just does nothing for me. Yeah. So like,
I think I don't know where I heard this from, but it's not an original thought, so I don't want to take credit for it. But I've seen people say that what the appeal of platformers is that they it's not it's usually pretty clear how you get from point A to B, how you solve a problem, and then it's a matter of executing. Where like especially in like really tight level design, it's like you see like, oh, I need to like do this run to get that jump and bounce off that thing to get there. Now I got to execute it. Versus like puzzles where it's like once you figure out what you got to do, you just do it. Like that's not the hard part. And like both have their appeal, but specifically with platformers, like it's about that. It's about that, actual execution of the situation. I think that goes for Ratchet and Clank is much more of an action platformer, but the way like bosses are designed in that and in a lot of other platformers, it's a matter of like you do the thing 3 times. That's usually what it is. Like you do the same you hit it when it's weak 3 times and then it's over. So it's all about like you identify what you have to do pretty quickly. It's usually telegraphed, and then you got to execute it 3 times, like or how many ever times. So it's cool how that transfers over. But that was a bit of a tangent. Anything else you want to say about PlayStation?
I love PlayStation. I mean, I honestly, it was more of like hey, PlayStation's birthday is going to be like, it's for us recording tomorrow, and then for people listening, it'll have been the Tuesday right before we release. I don't know, like I put down like favorite like character or series. Like for me, it'd be a very easy like Kratos right now, but I'm also like still like, I don't know, like God of War 2018 is still my favorite game of 2018. I'm still not sure I'm going to say ever yet. I want to play it again before I make that decision. But it is like, I fucking love it. Like I could go on and on about God of War, but I also want to hear what you like. What is your favorite? Are you a Sony pony first of all? Like, are you like, if you had to put yourself in one of the 3 major, or 4, I guess if you want to say PC, but like, are you more of a Nintendo boy, or are you a Sony pony?
Well, the way it always was for me is I had a PlayStation as my primary console, and then I had a Nintendo console for all the Nintendo games. And that's really how it's kind of always been, and that's never really changed. I guess the biggest difference is the fact that I have like a Switch where I want to put as many games on it as I can, specifically because it's like the portable console thing. So now I like play Skyrim on that instead of a PlayStation. But in general, like the PlayStation's the primary and the Nintendo's the secondary. But if I were to just say, yes, I'm a Sony person, like that wouldn't really be fair, because if it came down to just like exclusives versus exclusives, I'm so in the middle. Like I would say like my favorite platformer series is probably like Ratchet and Clank, like PS2 era, more than like even Mario. But then again, it's like I can't like say I would really pick it over Mario necessarily, because like I don't know, like Mario games are fucking almost all great, like almost all amazing. And like Pokemon is better than any RPG I've played on PlayStation, for me at least. And like I never really played RPGs that much.
That's a hot take. I'm just throwing it out there. That is a hot take.
I mean, that not for me though, because I really like, I'm even just looking at the games right here. Like I don't think I played many RPGs on PlayStation. Okay. And some of the ones I have played, like Skyrim, like even just, I haven't beaten it, but like the Mass Effect trilogy, like those are multi-platforms, so I can't even like give it to Sony.
Yeah, that's your point.
But in terms of like my favorite character, because like I don't think it's fair for me to say I'm a Sony pony, because I'm really just as equally a Nintendo fanboy. Like you know what could have saved it, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, is if PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale was really good. And I defend that game. I don't think it's terrible. I think it was a good first attempt. Like, if you compare it to the first Smash Bros., I think they are comparable. It's just that it came out after, like, Brawl came out, so it was, like, hard. You can't
exist in a post-Smash Bros. World and then not be better than Smash Bros. If you're going to do that.
You have to truly deliver. But if that game had been great, it might have changed something, because I, like, was as excited for that as I was for, like, Smash Ultimate. I mean, honestly, in terms of like following character reveals and like watching all the trailers and everything, and I did really like it. But yeah, like that's the thing. Smash Bros is like where like the hypest game in the world to me is Smash Bros, and it always will be. And nothing on Sony ever matches that.
I'm interested to see how. So I guess next question, like, how do you think Sony should move? Like whether or not we have we don't have a lot of information on PS5. Like we know that the dev kits are out in the wild. And it does look like it's the V, like the 5 shape, which I personally am on board with. Like when we saw those first, like the line art for it, I thought it was awesome. Like I'm super about the weird.
Just doesn't look practical. It just doesn't look like it's gonna fit on my shelf.
No, but like it's like something that I can't remember exactly who from Kinda Funny said it, but from a while ago when the Switch was first being revealed. There's like the big debate around the table of like who's going to get the gray one, who's going to get the colorful one, all this stuff. And actually, I think it was Colin Moriarty who has since left Kinda Funny. But he was like, if I'm getting a toy, I want it to look like a toy. Like, and that's why I got the colorful Switch. I'm like, if this is going to be my Mario and my fucking like my Pokemon machine, like I want it to be bright and colorful. Whereas with the PlayStation, like, I don't like. I like the design of the PS4 right now, but I feel like it's trying to be. Like, I don't know. Just compared to the and we don't know if this is going to be the actual design for the final PS5 or if it's just the dev kits that developers and publishers are like getting their hands on right now. Like, I want the 5 to be a part of the physical design of this goddamn box. Like, I'm so excited. Especially if the weirder it looks, the more okay I'm gonna be.
I can't rock with you on that. I definitely think it's a really weird design for a console. But I hear where you're coming from. But I just I would much rather I like my consoles to look like I don't know I appreciate having it have a personality in its design. But I love how convenient my PS4 is. The fact that it can easily fit on a shelf. I can put stuff on top of it if I need to. I can put it sideways. I that's why I like the Wii. The Wii was similar in that way, and it was smaller too. And even the GameCube, wherever my hell my GameCube is.
I mean, to me, in terms of hardware design, the GameCube is probably the greatest concept.
It's got a handle.
It's got a handle.
For some reason.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was. The fact that it's so small, and also the fact that before the Wii came out, I played Smash Bros. On my friend's GameCube that lived right across. Oh, also shit, really minor, but never mind. The lead singer of Korn was their stepbrother.
You told me this before.
Yeah, and I still I've only very recently learned the impact that Korn has had in the music industry, so that still blows my mind. I think that's hilarious.
It's very casual.
But they would just come across the street with their GameCube with the handle on it, and I'm like,
but then you have to have a little bag full of wires. That's the only thing that ruins it.
Or like Dennis, you have 2 little siblings that carry all the controllers and games with you. And that's what they did. And then we all would play, it was fun. Fun times. I love the GameCube. Happy birthday, PlayStation.
Okay, real quick. What's your favorite PlayStation?
I mean, might just be recency bias, but before, the fact that I will, if I'm not at home for an extended weekend and I hear my PS4 beat for the first time, I get really, I feel it physically.
I feel that.
The PS3 was great. It was, I mean, okay, no, if we're going to be real about this, the PS3, I had an Xbox for the first half of that generation. I was shit on people with PS3s because the PSN was just down for a year and a half.
Yeah, I think the PS3 had the most issues, but in a weird way, I think it still might be my favorite, honestly.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, first of all, if we're just talking about impact overall, the PS4 has largely just continued what the PS3 did and not really changed it that much. I feel it's just a beefed up improved version of the PS3, whereas PS3 added wireless controllers, online functionality, it's a Blu-ray player and you can stream video to it and all that stuff. PSN at the time was actually an upgrade to your internet. The fact is you could do free, you could play online with people for free, which was awesome.
But that's also why they got hacked. That's because they didn't have protected servers.
Well, servers. Still, my point is that's a lost thing. That won't exist anymore, and I've accepted that. Even Nintendo's charging people now, which is fine. But just I as a graphical leap, I think the leap from PS2 to PS3 is bigger than PS3 to PS4. No, absolutely. And that goes for that entire generation. Same with Xbox to Xbox 360 and not GameCube to Wii, but other than that, that was very intentional.
Watching The Last of Us on PS3, without the remaster to PS4, that game still looks fantastic.
Well, and
if you
see,
went
that's
back to a base
thing.
PS3, that looks fantastic.
That's the thing. I even think I play GTA 4 even still, and GTA 5 definitely is a better looking game, and even then that's a PS3 that kind of hybrid looks better game. On PS4. Yeah, exactly.
Crossover.
But if you're driving around in GTA 4 in game at night, in the nighttime in game, the lighting and everything is still. I didn't mean
I know what you mean.
If you are playing it at 12 p.m., even though it's noon in the game, but the lighting and stuff is still pretty impressive, and the main thing is animations on the PS3 were excellent.
I remember that's what makes
Uncharted look good.
Getting wet, yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes Last of Us still look good. That's what makes the GTA games still look good. That's what makes Just a lot of stuff like look better. Like even like the Ratchet and Clank games, like I'm more of a fan of the games on PS2, but those games look fantastic on PS3. And that's like when a lot of those like physics simulations started to really get better too, was on the PS3. So I think in a lot of ways, it might also be the one I put the most time into, just in terms of like I played Oblivion and Skyrim on it. I played Assassin's Creed on it. I played like a lot of stuff that I put like, 50 or more hours into. Whereas like the PS2, it was a lot of like platformers that took me 8 hours and, stuff like that. But I think it's more just nostalgia for that era. Like the PS3 era was like incredible, I thought. Like it was like a really exciting time for games.
I think that we're at this point in the tail end of that, because like the last few years with games have been fucking like I mean, starting with The Last of Us for me, like once The Last of Us came out, it became like, oh shit, games have become fucking incredible right now. And it might have just been like, I'm more mature, so I can like register that games are great and not like spectrobes. But
see,
like,
that's funny, because I think like the first game that like probably in the same way Last of Us did for you, like story and like character development wise, like combined with like good animations and graphics, like that kind of like games are this good. Like I had that early in the PS3 with GTA 4. That was like the first game where I was like, oh shit, like games in like can be like artistic, adult. Like I played like Shadow of the Colossus and stuff before, and I consider that like one of the most artistically successful games of all time. But it was not in like, it was much more like gamey in that it like you had to fill in a lot of the blanks for yourself, and it was like very weird and different, and like clearly not a lot of games, but like mainstream games now with like PS3 and PS4 can like be like that, really that good.
I'm trying to think of like the games that I'm like, because as you brought up just earlier, like game to me, The Last of Us, like before God of War, Last of Us was probably my favorite game of all time. I mean, whenever I say favorite game of all time, someone could just like throw out from the side, like, what about Smash Bros? And then it immediately changes the conversation. But like, I don't know. I'm really like, Dishonored came out before Last of Us. I loved Dishonored, but it wasn't like a like mind blowing experience. Like it was very, 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 very fun. I'm like, I feel like I should have more affinity toward the PS3 and that whole generation. It's a blur now. Like
I think with the exception of like really Naughty Dog, just The Last of Us and Uncharted, like there was definitely good God of War games on the PS3, but that series started on PS2, and it was only really God of War 3 that killed it on PS3. And now that's kind of been overshadowed by the reboot on PS4. And like Infamous was popular, but I feel like it wasn't as big as like Uncharted. I think like exclusives wise, like PS3 is probably the weakest. But like, does really anyone care about Resistance?
No, okay, so that's my thing. The reason I think the PS4, like include with all of the recency bias, whatever, they gave us Aloy, like they gave us Big Daddy Kratos, they gave us like, or they're going to give us as much as like Last of Us was a PS3 game, like I replayed that game in PS4 and then played most of the multiplayer in PS4. So like the majority of my personal time spent in The Last of Us is in PS4. So like, like I'll say that, and like I don't know. Like Aloy for me is like such a big deal. Like I fucking love Horizon Zero Dawn. I can't wait for the sequel that we know is coming, because Janina Gavankar at whatever fan event spilled the beans. And Janina Gavankar is she's the actress that was the main character in Battlefront 2.
Oh, yeah, she's cool.
I'm just like, you'll know her face when you see her.
She was on The League.
I keep hearing about that. I need to go back and rewatch The League, because I've seen bits and pieces here and there. But long story short, she was at a fan event or something, and she's in Horizon Zero Dawn, and a character was like, "Oh, I loved your fan. I loved your character in Horizon." Blah 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 blah. And Janina was just like, "Oh, just wait until you see what we do in the next one," before anything was said, like before any. And we all knew it was probably going to come. Like, if the PS5 comes and goes with that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 on there, then I will.
I doubt it. I'm sure it will, because it's game sold well and everything. No, I feel you. PS4 is like, I mean, especially in the last like few years, like Spider-Man is still, I love it. Uncharted 4 is like, I like just as good as the other ones. Like I'm just looking right now at like the exclusives I have.
Persona 5, which you haven't played.
I haven't, but I've heard excellent things about. I mean, And then, like, you know, in terms
goddamn.
of multi-platforms, like, I feel like the PlayStation 4 got, probably because it was leading most of the generation, like, it got cut a lot of good exclusive deals that that I feel like the 360 was getting more of early on, like, back in that generation.
Honestly, I think it had to do with just the early install base, because when the PS or when the Xbox and the PS3, when the 360 and the PS3 launched against each other, the PS3 was like $600 and the Xbox was like $350 or some shit.
Yeah.
And then with this generation, the PS4 was like $400, and then the Xbox was a solid $500, and they also Xbox also just tripped, fell, and then ate their own shit this generation from the beginning, because like, hey, we're gonna bundle in the Kinect. None of you want the Kinect? It's still going to be there, and it's going to cost $100 on top of what it normally would be. And then, hey, so we're not going to have the Kinect in there anymore. The price cut's going to be not as much as the PS4 is still, right? Like, PlayStation just did a great job of like staying ahead of the curve this generation. I'm so fucking excited to see what's going to happen with like Project Scarlet or I can't remember what they're calling
4.
it. Yeah, like the
Xbox 2?
Yeah,
maybe?
the Xbox 2. I have no idea. Xbox Forever.
Yeah, I still will. Maybe this is a hot take. I don't know, but because it wasn't at the time. But Xbox One to me is still a horrible, horrible name. I know why they did it, but I just think like it is like so stupid. It's like I have the same issue with like Battlefield 1. Like I get what you're going for, but don't. Like this is confusing and dumb. Like come up with a different way to do it. I think it's confusing. It's like as confusing to me as like Wii U. Like.
The Wii U was just bad, but I think, I mean, I don't know. I like Xbox One. I like the shortened version of just xBONE.
Yeah, I always said that in a derogatory way, though.
I guess I don't know.
As a Sony Pony and Nintendo.
What's the Nintendo version? As a child of Reggie? As a
not anymore. As a son of the N.
Son of the N.
Okay. So we started on this PlayStation's birthday thing. Ended up just kind of talking about the line of consoles in general. We were going to touch on some Mandalorian, and Bo wanted to talk about Death Stranding, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to just kind of move on to our main topic for the sake of time. And
no, I don't have much to say about Death Stranding at this point.
Okay, cool.
Still very early in.
I know it finally clicked for you, so maybe after you've played it some more, maybe beaten it, we can talk about it again next week or something.
How about this? Follow me on Twitter at BrotherGrimBo, and I'll keep you updated there.
Gotcha. All right. And Mandalorian, it's still good. But obviously, the longer we wait to talk about it, the more episodes we'll have to talk about. So might as well.
It's very good.
Yes. I mean, everyone's seen Baby Yoda by now. So
yeah,
it like literally. It truly is worth watching for Baby Yoda alone. Like the memes don't even do it justice. It is truly the most adorable thing I've ever seen on film, television, video games, and in real life. Like
I'm not even one of those like, oh my god, so like I can't. I make the like unwillingly as he's on screen.
Yeah,
and like just the cynic in me is just like, oh, it's the internet trying to sensationalize this thing, and it's just free. Also, what was Disney thinking when they started taking down the GIFs of Baby Yoda all over the place?
That's interesting. Okay, I want to talk about that briefly, just because apparently that wasn't true.
Really?
So they were on like Giphy, I think. So excuse me if I get some of the specific details wrong here, but what I saw is that it wasn't that Disney was taking them down, is that like Giphy or whatever the source, like they were being taken down because it was like unclear what the copyright concern is. Now, granted, it's not necessarily fair to give Disney a pass because the reason they were taken down is probably out of fear of this happening, which is not necessarily unwarranted. But I don't think Disney was ever truly taking them down on their own, like. And the news story just kind of blew up because, fairly so, it sounded like something Disney would do. Yeah. But as far as I know, that wasn't actually true. So I think the discussion is fair, but I don't want that, like, as far as I know, that's misinformation. So I don't want that, like,
no, thank you for squashing misinformation. I mean, shit. Oh.
Okay.
All that to say, Baby Yoda is, like, as cute, if not cuter, than what the internet is making him out to be. And I'm absolutely. I'm totally on board with it.
But yeah, so we're gonna save more of that for later. In future weeks, we're gonna have a whole Star Wars episode in a few weeks once Rise of Skywalker comes out, and Maybe we'll talk about Death Stranding when we get to talking about Game Awards and Best of the Year and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, Death Stranding is definitely going to have to be a part of the Game Awards talk.
Yeah. But let's get into our main topic. This is something that we had a lot of fun doing last year in the old version of the show. So Loosely Defined 2.0 is bringing back the holiday hot takes.
I wish we had some kind of sound effect for this moment.
No, yeah.
I was gonna do some weird cry, and then I was like, nah. Holiday hot takes.
But basically what this is that in the spirit of the holidays, in the spirit of getting around your friends and family and your loved ones and pissing each other off with your opinions on the world and politics and everything else, we thought we would carry that joyful experience over to this podcast and to all of our favorite stress-free things like video games and movies and all that. The things that are supposed to distract us.
Yeah, there is no escape.
There is no escape. So hopefully you had fun arguing over Thanksgiving and we'll continue to have fun arguing over Christmas. We're going to do our own version of that here. We're going to go back and forth and deliver what we think are unpopular opinions, controversial takes, just, general things we wouldn't normally say unless we were trying to piss people off. Let's jump into it. We're going to kind of give our general thoughts as we react to each other. We don't know what we're going to say. We're going to, maybe think about like how hot those takes actually are in regards to what the rest of the public thinks. Hopefully we're trying to get something spicy going here. So you guys let us know on Twitter at Defined Loosely. Maybe we'll put some polls up, try to get some audience reaction here. We want to know how hot these takes actually are. Because Bo and I typically agree on a lot of stuff. So we might end up not pissing each other off as much as we thought we were going to. So
yeah, honestly, whenever you start, because I'm really
okay.
I feel like my takes are not necessarily hot, but I just believe them more than I should, maybe.
Okay.
I'm just trying to throw that preface out there. I was trying for the record.
Okay. Well, since we've spent a lot of time talking about video games this episode, I will lead with a video game hot take.
Cool.
And we mentioned Mario earlier. I know you're not the biggest platformer guy, so maybe you won't feel too passionately about this. But in my opinion, including 64, Sunshine, Galaxy 1 and 2, 3D Land and 3D World, and Odyssey, I think Super Mario 64 is the worst of the, 7? 6 of them? Reaction before I elaborate, if you need me to.
Elaborate, because I feel like Okay. Go ahead. Also, I just want to throw it out there. Mario 64 is like the one Mario game that I can say that I love wholeheartedly. Okay. Like every other game, I can just say that's a good game.
I thought I remembered you telling me that in the past.
Yeah, no, Mario, when you said, I have a reaction to this. I don't know if it's well founded, but I have a reaction. So please continue.
Okay, so. Part of this I know you're really going to disagree with, but with a lot of my hot takes, I can recognize where I am wrong in a certain objective quantity. So in this case, Super Mario 64 is without a doubt the most groundbreaking of any of the Mario 3D platformers. It's one of the most groundbreaking games and platformers of all time. So I don't want to take anything away from that. But if we're just looking at it in retrospect, if I were to pick one to play right now in 2019, I think Sunshine is more aesthetically pleasing, more unique, and personally it's the one I have the most nostalgia for. I think Galaxy 1 and 2 are mechanically great, plus presentation wise, music wise, they're stellar. I think 3D Land and 3D World have better level design, and I think Odyssey, in being the most similar to 64 in terms of focusing on exploration, open environments, all that stuff, I think it emphasizes exploration better, because a lot of 64's hidden stars and whatnot are random as all hell. I remember playing that game and having to use a guide to find half that shit. Plus there's a lot of dated game elements, those are the 100 coins stars where you have to collect 100 coins in a level to get a star, and those are required to complete the game 100%. But there are very easy ways you can fuck up, get 98, and then lose the last 2 coins. There are certain levels in which you might have to try multiple times to get the 100 coin star, and I think that's just not clunky level design. And then I think aesthetically, other than maybe 3D World and 3D Land, because those just kind of rip from the 2D games, I think it's aesthetically the most bland out of all of them. I think, again, Sunshine and Galaxy and Odyssey, I think all have much more exciting and engaging aesthetics. And, you know, I don't want to be too unfair because there is the graphical issue of like years and years of, you know, improved technology. But yeah. And controls wise, I do think it's the worst, honestly. Except Sunshine's a little clunky too, controls wise, but it goes for a different thing.
Okay. So while I agree with most of that, so one, are you basing your memories off of the actual N64 version or from the Nintendo DS port, or like from one of
I barely played the DS port. I would say though that I think overall the DS version is better because it's much more unique in having the multiplayer stuff, but I mostly played 64 on Wii Virtual Console.
Okay.
So I didn't play it with a N64 controller, but I did play it like in that version with like a classic controller or something. So
yeah, like I played mostly on the DS and then a little bit on my friend she had one of the actual Nintendo 64s. So I played like maybe 15 minutes on there just to see how it felt to actually like control everything. And like, I don't know, like to me, all of your complaints could have been summed up as old game is old. And I don't consider that a valid criticism or like a reason to put it toward the, like, if we want to, and okay. My main thing is like, I don't see how you could put Sunshine above 64, but I also know that Sunshine is the Mario that I have put the least amount of hours into by far. So like, I think it's a hot take, but I also don't have the personal evidence to back up my thinking it's a hot take. It's like,
I think I'd probably get more shit from Nintendo fans in general than I'm getting from you right now. I just think people hold on to their nostalgia for it more than is maybe warranted based on the games that have come out since. Like there's like I'm always in favor of like, you know, your nostalgia is warranted. But I think like I don't know, like I think people hold on to it a bit too much. Like I think a lot of what it did was groundbreaking at the time, but it's like I would much rather play Super Mario Bros. 3 than Super Mario Bros. 1, and I don't think like that should be considered like a hot take. Whereas I think in this situation it's like a similar thing, and yet the love for 64 has lasted a lot longer. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's because of like Are you saying you prefer to play these games, or you think Mario, like Super Mario at this point, the Galaxy and Odyssey and 3D Land, 3D World, I'll put them, like I'll concede those points. But for me, like I'm sticking to Sunshine specifically. So like if we're boiling it down to Sunshine, be 64.
Well, Sunshine's my favorite out of all of them, if I'm being honest. So honestly,
to me, that's a hotter take than 64 being rated lower than it should be. Because like I think there is a legitimate argument to be had about nostalgia. But also, like, with the little bit of time that I played of 64 or of Sunshine, I just wasn't having fun. Like, moving was so heavy and like not
really. I think because you can move super quick in it. I think
I was going to say it could just be because I was, you know, like very brief hands on, but I was just like to me the flood mechanic was the big gimmick. Like this is what sets this apart from all the other Mario games. And like
that's it right there.
It wasn't fun to me, and I think Nintendo realized that because they haven't implemented that in any of their other Mario games.
Well, no, I know it's definitely the most controversial. It's probably the black sheep of all these games in terms of, but I think that's why it holds up better, because 64, I think a lot of what it did has been done better in like parts of Sunshine, maybe not all of it, but then also in Galaxy and Odyssey, whereas I think Sunshine is the one that no matter how dated it gets, it'll always have stuff that even the newer games don't have that is good. Like like I'm a huge fan of the beach aesthetic, and like a lot of what it adds is new. It doesn't rely nearly as much on old Mario elements that the other games do. It truly tries for something new, and while it definitely doesn't work in all situations, it makes it stand out and feel worth going back to, I think, more than 64 does. Like, I feel like if I would rather just play Odyssey than go back and play 64. If I really want that like 64 feeling, like you can even go to the castle in Odyssey.
Odyssey is a weird example because it is, to me, like it is the reason I got so excited about Odyssey is because in the initial trailers, to me, they did things that made it look more like
I think that was very
Mario 64. Yeah. So like, but okay. So just in terms of like the setting argument, I feel like having it, and I just with the brief time I had, but also like with the just hours of content that I've seen where Mario Odyssey will come up, like, or Mario Sunshine will come up, like, I feel like within 64, having the hub world of the castle, and then having all the paintings have their own little like sub biomes and stuff like that. Like, you can have a favorite world in 64, but like you're in Delfino in fucking Sunshine.
I like that cohesiveness to it. I think like one of the things that gets boring to me
as a Mario game. Like,
but see, that's the thing. I think that's why it stands out. Is that like every Mario game has the snow level, the volcano level, the sky level. Like I like that Sunshine picks an aesthetic and sticks to it. I think that's way more interesting to me than let's do another variation on the same set of level gimmicks.
Super Mario Sunshine is just the Pokemon black and white of Mario games.
Fuck you for that. I want to move on. I'm not
wrong.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you're very wrong. Okay, you know what?
Actually, this is a good segue.
Very wrong.
Because really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Pokemon stories are like historically they have not been good. Like they just that's fine. But I don't think it's fine. Like I feel like to me that's the hot take. Like I feel like Pokemon needs to be held to a higher standard in terms of its story because like. Comparing it to Dragon Quest XI, which like to me is the closest comparison you can get to a non Pokemon. Like I don't know, like it's the gameplay feels almost exactly the same, just minus. And I know that in some Dragon Quest games you can capture the monsters and then you recruit them. Like that's how Pokemon. Like that was what Pokemon was. Like just ripped off Dragon Quest III, from what I understand. Like if Pokemon is baby's first JRPG. I think it does a horrible job of introducing people to the JRPG series genre. Because like with Dragon Quest, and I could say this about Persona, I could say this about Fire Emblem is not the same, but just like in terms of text heavy, like we're not going to show you a bunch of cutscenes and whatever. Like the story is going to be told through you talking to a bunch of people. Like in Dragon Quest, I want to talk to the random kid with his dog next to the shop because they're probably going to have a really well-written line that one might give me very crucial information about the worlds and whatever. Like if I need to get from point A to point B, this will help me figure out a route to point B, or it's just funny. Right. It's just like interesting, well-written. They give this random kid who has maybe 3 lines of dialogue, like a very enjoyable thing to listen to. Okay. And then, you move on. So with Pokemon, when everything is, you're the best. You're my rival, and I'm gonna like with no substance, with no like. And I'm not trying to spoil Sword and Shield or anything like that. I've mentioned that I had beef with that story, but I'm also like, I'm just trying to think about like, oh well, where's the bar for Pokemon stories? Honestly, it's probably Gen 5, and like
it's still so bad though.
I know, and that's my problem. Like, I don't think we should be meaning the people at Game Freak that I have no formal affiliation with. I feel like giving shit dialogue in a game is going to encourage people, and in this case kids, because this is we play it and we take it seriously, but like a 6-year-old, it's meant for them. Yeah, if they're just going to skip through the story, then the next JRPG they get handed, they're just going to skip through the story, and it could be as I haven't hit any I don't know. And if you want to talk about like just the evolution of RPGs in general, like going to The Witcher, you're not gonna skip A through all of it because it's presented fucking amazingly and everything that they said. But like in a JRPG that is very traditional in its presentation, like I feel like you need to do a better job of gripping me in. Like I power through personally because I know that for me the fun comes after I beat the game. So like it really is just the story is it's in my way from getting to the fun stuff. Okay. And I feel like Game Freak knows that because they're just funneling like. In this game, there is one of the gyms is straight up a straight line. Like they don't give a shit about your journey anymore, So like,
well, I agree with that. Which will lead me to my next take, but I don't want to. I want to respond a little bit because I kind of agree with you. I don't know how hot this take is because I think there's a lot of fans out there who would like more of a Pokemon story. That said, I think a lot of those are fans of Gen 5.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, I don't agree with them. I mean, we said this last week. I respect that they went for it with Black and White. I just think they failed. And I also mentioned that I liked the story and the friendship dynamics and like the development in Gen 6. Mm-hmm. But I also like the way it was done in Gen 3 with Team Aqua and Magma. I thought that was on the right track. I get what you're saying. I just think that if you look at the history of the series, when they've decided to take the story more seriously, the story's gotten worse. So, like, I get what you're saying. I don't want them to ditch it entirely, but I just, like, I think it's worked as, like, it is, like, I don't think it's necessarily, like, your first JRPG. Like, I don't think Pokemon is supposed to represent the same genre, like, or with all the tropes and whatnot that you associate with, like, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, etc.
Really?
I think it's much more trying to be its own thing. It's definitely a JRPG in genre, like, more than it is anything else, but I don't think that Pokemon is supposed to be, like, the same thing as Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest or...
I mean, it like, straight up...
Persona.
Like, if you look at, like... Because when I started playing the Dragon Quest XI demo, like, for some at this point, I know that I'm going to fall madly, deeply, horribly in love with the Dragon Quest franchise, and I'm just trying to, like, pace it out. So, like, I did a whole... Long story short, Dragon Quest III, like, that... The reason that game was so amazing was because they introduced the mechanic of, hey, you're going to run into a monster, and then sometimes you can catch that monster, and now it's on your team. And then you have to, like... Within a Dragon Quest game before that, it is, okay, I know that, like, I have a fire spell, and this is, like, an ice guy or a leaf guy. Just basic common sense is going to tell me fire is going to burn the leaf guy, so I'm going to use the fire spell against the leaf guy. Pokemon just expanded that out, took the emphasis away from, like, the violent characters and just made it, like...
Again, it is an RPG.
Yeah.
I just think, like, from the jump, Pokemon, all those games are still generally presented as story-first games. RPGs in general are typically presented as story-first games. I don't think Pokemon ever attempted to present itself as a story-first game. It was all about, like, your personal experience with it. And that's another reason why I don't think they ever will really emphasize story too much, is that it still has to be your character. That that's supposed to be bland enough for you to put yourself into it. It's not necessarily defending it so much as I think it is just the reality of the series, and why I don't expect it to get any better. But I hear what you're saying. I generally agree with this take. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe from a different perspective. Okay, so my next one, I'm skipping one. I'll come back to it, but just because we're talking about Pokemon. I think the story is a big part of this. I think competitive Pokemon, while I respect it and I don't want to take the fun away from other people, I think it completely ruins everything I like about Pokemon.
Really?
Completely. I have a couple points here that I think it limits the Pokemon that are worth using, which is like why would I want 800 Pokemon if I didn't at least feel like I had the option to use all of them? But when competitive makes like more than half of them completely unviable, that takes away the fun. I have a bit of this issue too with Smash Bros, where like people like shit on someone for using a low tier character, but that's different for me because I do play more of the competitive side of that, and it is a fighting game. But like
that, I have my next one now, so just.
But it also reduces the entire experience of playing Pokemon down to just luck and numbers. Like I don't feel like your starter. What if you get a starter with like bad IVs and then you just breed it and replace it later? Like I don't like that. I like feeling attached to the Pokemon I caught early on in the game, or that were my starters, and it completely competitive just completely discourages that. Also, it emphasizes grinding more than just, like, regular, like, catch 'em all, let me fight my friends for fun, because it's all about, like, again, grinding out the perfect team. It also puts a disconnect between you and your Pokemon for the same reasons I was saying before. And also, it's just hard and annoying and too much for me. I like just enjoying the fucking games. And, like, we mentioned last week, we have this Pokemon group chat now, and so much of it is about everyone, like, oh, I have a perfect IV Ditto, like, I'll breed it and then I'll trade it to you for blah, blah. And I've checked out by now. Like, I don't care. Like I wanted a Halucha, like the little luchador fighting bird guy, because I like the dude. And after that, like now I don't care about getting like, you know, I don't care. I don't care. It's boring. I don't like it. It's boring. It's not fun to me. It's just, it's hard and it's annoying and like it's not the same as like getting good at a fighting game. It's literally just like how much studying can you do and luck can you get by like getting the right numbers on your Pokemon. It's just like, I hate that shit. Just keep it out of my Pokemon games. Give me more story, or at least like more to do that isn't just getting the best team possible. Like I like playing my friends, but with a team of my favorite Pokemon, not the ones that I like did the math on that are the best. Like, I mean,
okay, so here's where
I don't like it.
I think, or not I think, I disagree with you.
Right.
But like, I 100% get where you're coming from. For me, it adds to the overall narrative of Pokemon, because if I'm playing a Pokemon game, I beat the gym champion, or I beat Leon in this case. Then it's just like, no, I just fucking exist. Like, I'm the champion. I walk into a Pokemart and I hear, "Hey, what's good, champion? Like, I saw your fucking your final victory. Good for you." I'm just. It's not even like I'm just some dude. It's like I'm the best in the world in my Pokemon world. But then like no one really cares, and like I don't really have, like, sure, I can go into the battle tower, but then I'm just some dude. Like part of the reason I wanted to set up the Pokemon group chat in the first place is like, will we have someone in our group that is going to take, like, that's going to look at the just statistic, like who has the highest stats, like the 6 Pokemon with the highest stats. I don't really care about, you know, my personal attachment to them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make this numbers only team. That is 1 billion% up to that player. But for me personally, I'm building a dark fire team. Like I'm still relying upon the...
But you recognize that if someone in that group chat decides to build just the best competitive team, they will whoop your ass every time.
Unless they're dumb. Maybe, I mean, even then, still, there is the RNG aspect of it where, sure, this Pokemon, like, if it hits me, it's going to one-hit me, but also it's got 70% accuracy, and I have a thing on my Pokemon that, like, boosts its evasiveness. So if I, you know, like, if
I'm
it
not
hits
saying
me,
it's
yes,
impossible. I'm just saying, like, I mean,
yeah, but even okay, so in that case, like you were comparing it to like a fighting game. I'm comparing it mostly to like a like Destiny. Like for me, like if my Pokemon are a part of my kit and I am the trainer, so like if I'm in Destiny, let's say I want to run a grenade focused void, like warlock character, like I am the warlock, and then all of the skills and the gear on me will, you know, cater into that play style.
Yeah.
So like if I do want just a team full of like really hard hitting Pokemon, like a bunch of glass cannons, I can have 6 glass cannons on my team. Might not be the best strategy, but it's what I want to do. So like I can do that. Like, sure, losing is gonna suck, and like if we get to the point where like one person is really just is making it not fun for everyone else, then we'll just have to have a talk with that person. But like, to me, I mean,
that's the thing. At this point, I just don't have fun with any of it when it comes to the competitive. I really don't. Like, I guess it's just a me thing. I know there are other Pokemon fans that agree, but I'm like really like I'm fully on board with this. Like, I just don't like competitive Pokemon for me. Like, once you start talking about IVs, I completely check out.
That's fine. Like,
yeah. All right, what's your next?
I just don't. So, directly opposed to what you're saying,
okay.
I think Smash and Mario Kart, and then now I'm going to add Pokemon to this list. I'm going to say just Nintendo games that rely on, or Pokemon games that are focused on having fun. I think they are way more fun when you try, like, or way too try hard with them. Like I enjoy Mario Kart, yeah. Because actually,
Mario Kart's more about RNG than anything else.
Yeah, no, exactly. So shout out to Noah in that Pokemon group chat. He actually mentioned when we met him at the Mario Kart tournament at Ithaca. I don't know if he was the first person to ever say this. I don't know. I heard it from him, and he said, Mario Kart doesn't care if you're a good player or a great player. It's just like if you're good or you're bad, that's where the distinction really lies. Like if you're just bad at racing games or you're just bad at video games, then Mario Kart will care. But if you're like good versus great, it doesn't.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a very good point.
So like,
I agree.
To me, with Mario Kart specifically, like whenever someone says, "Hey, let's play Mario Kart," I'm immediately like, no, because my input into that game has no outcome into like I've been playing video games pretty much all my life. There's 0% chance I'm going to just like fall off a stage that doesn't have bumpers or like that. I don't know.
Right,
I don't know. Like, I'm, you know, like my mistakes aren't going to be nearly as drastic as like 5-year-old me's, or if I've never played a video game before and I'm picking up, you know, so like, so either A, if I am the only person that's ever played a video game before in this group of people, there's no point in me playing because there's no skill involved in whatever. Like if I lose, then I lose and I can brush it off knowing that it had nothing to do with my skill.
Right.
But also if it is your first time playing a game, you're going to win and you're going to feel like you don't need to, you know, learn or do anything better. Or if the I don't know, if the bumpers are on in bowling and you can get a strike by zigzagging it the entire time, then why would you ever play with the bumpers down, you know? Like, even if it's a more fluid, and that bowling is a bad example, I hate bowling, but like with Smash, like
hot take, hates bowling.
I don't know, like with Mario Kart, I get that it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be for everyone, but also like winning is fun, and knowing that a computer, like I hate Mario Party just off of, before it was like, oh, I haven't found the right Mario Party. No, I hate Mario Party because it will literally tell, hey, I think we're 3 turns left in the game. This person has 0 stars. I think this person's going to win, says the computer. And then as the game ends, this person still has 0 stars. And then they literally get 5 from the computer because the computer said they were going to win. Fuck that. That's a waste of time. Like, we should just play the mini games separately, in which case I don't know, like,
I hear what you're saying. I think your take is mostly prefaced on the fact is how competitive a person you are, and also what specifically you're looking for in these games. Because like we already talked about the Pokemon stuff, and Mario Kart I think is just not intended and never will be intended to be like a very competitive game for basically what you said. And same with Mario Party, same with most of Mario
Party
sports
was not
games.
a part of this conversation.
But even still, just
Mario
like,
Kart and Smash
these games are much more
of.
designed to be, and I think Smash Bros was intended this way, although they've conceded more to the competitive side. These are intended to be party games. These are intended to be games that everyone can jump into and have a chance at winning. And I think they still mostly succeed at that, and I don't think there's any problem with it. I get why you don't like it, but like it's like playing a board game. Like half of like Catan, you can be good at Catan, but if you get bad dice rolls in that game, you're fucked and you're gonna lose. Like, and that's sort of the same thing with like Mario Kart. Is like you can be good at Mario Kart, but if you get screwed over like by the right items or whatever, like it won't make a difference. Or like,
and my thing is,
if you play Smash Bros with the items on, same kind of thing. Like Smash Bros gives you the option to create an environment in which it's conducive to competitive play. But I would never want them to just remove items out of Smash Bros. Like I like that choice is there.
I just,
but it's just a matter of preference. I think 200cc and Mario Kart 8 is like them trying to offer like, here's a high skill floor like version of Mario Kart. But even then it's still like
you still have to go to the settings and readjust the item. Like honestly, maybe I just have an issue with items.
I'm just saying what do you want out of these games that they like aren't giving you to make it different? Like if I'm putting input into this game, I want the output to be reflective of what the input I put in is. So like if I'm doing well, I want to see that I'm doing well, because like I feel like I shouldn't have to explain that. So like if I'm doing well, and then because I'm doing well, not just like, oh, also off to the side, different systems, but because I am doing well, nuke you in the front, let the 3-year-old pass. Like, and maybe it's just me being cynical because I'm just like, that 3-year-old is going to live with a sense of like self. Yeah, I think you're just a competitive person.
And that's
fine.
But I mean, I don't know. They are competitions. Like they're games. Games have winners and losers, and I feel like that should be sorted. I don't think
games have to inherently be competitive, if you like, in that way. Like I get what you mean; it is competitive, but it's like, again, it's like card games or whatever. Like it's about the fun of the process more than it is the outcome. In those cases,
but I think the most
for like that's the intention.
Fun comes from. And this might just be me being competitive. But I was about to say, like, the fun in my head is like oh, I'm going to win. And then either, oh, I won, or, oh, no, I lost. And then you try to play again, knowing that I lost because of these things. And then there's the internal growth as a player.
Right.
Or whatever. Like, I can't grow as a player in Mario Kart. Like, I can't,
And that's why, to me, it's it's over time, it's become less and less worth the money unless I know I have people to play with. But that's the thing, is like, those are... not games that are designed to play in the way you want them to play, which is like, I think fair, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm a try hard.
All right. So my next gaming take is, I actually don't know if you're going to agree with me on this. I think
we'll see.
I don't think you will, but you might. I think Skyrim is better than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Sure. Yeah, because I know you like Breath of the Wild, but I know you're not as like in love with it as even I am. But
Breath of the Wild was. I mean, to me, I just want two different things. Like, if I'm buying a game, if it comes with the ability for me to shoot fire, lightning, or ice out of my hands, it's going to have a one up versus the game that doesn't. Like, I just like in any like if Mario Kart 9 had the ability to shoot fire from your hand and Mario Kart 10 did not, then I would just be on Mario Kart 9 for the rest of my life. So like Skyrim hit one of those special fantasy bits for me.
I think what makes Skyrim one of my favorite games of all time is just literally the fact that I find it infinitely replayable because I can always play a different type of character. Whereas like Zelda is like great and magical when you first play it, but I have no desire to like, I really don't have much of a desire to replay it. Like you can definitely approach things in different ways. It's probably a better designed game and without a doubt a better technical product than Skyrim. But yeah, I will always prefer replaying Skyrim to replaying Zelda. So, all right. If you agree with me, then we don't have to spend any time on that. What's your next one?
This is okay. All right. So stick with me. I feel like Blizzard and the Overwatch community, and I'm not sure when the turn happened, but like they have to know the amount of like Overwatch porn out there is probably more prevalent than the amount of actual Overwatch players. And I just like, I feel like there needs to be some level of policing because like, I mean, okay, mostly because of my fucking Twitter feed. I need to stop seeing just random not okay things coming up through my like. Just
wait,
Overwatch
I'm sorry.
Twitter.
What's the take here? What's the take?
The take is that I think like the Overwatch, like the dev team knows and they're using like Overwatch NSFW stuff as like a free advertising type model, which I don't think is okay.
Absolutely.
Especially because it's a kid's game. Like, or not it's rated T or whatever, but like the animation style is very much like Pixar-esque and like they're trying to, you know, like when I teared up at the first cinematic, it's because it made me feel like a kid again. Like it was one of those.
It's also because you were a little hard.
What? But I'm just like, I don't like, especially after fucking Wrecking Ball. I'm just like the Overwatch development team. They need to like.
It's pretty hot, hamster.
No.
It's
like,
just funny to me at this point. I get where you're coming from.
At first, I thought it was funny, and then I keep like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's more beef with the community, but I'm also like, I feel like if Jeff came out and said, fucking stop it, at least there'd have to be some response, right?
Right.
I'm like trying to think like, cause now, I don't know, I'm spending more time with my little cousin and I'm just like trying to get him into gaming. And I'm just like, I can't tell you to just go look up Overwatch stuff because I don't know what the fuck you're going to find. Like,
what is it? It's Rule 34, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I get where you're coming from. They're probably exacerbating it in a lot of ways, but also like it's inevitable.
It's
like I'm just picturing the Thanos "I am inevitable" meme, but with Overwatch porn because it's true.
I need to figure out my feelings for Overwatch. Just I haven't played in months. A month. I don't know. I want to play Overwatch again.
All right.
What's your hot take?
Now
that wasn't a hot take. That was just I'm
just venting about Overwatch porn for
that was me scrolling through Twitter and then being like, oh shit, this is a hot take, and writing it down.
All right. So my next three are all Batman based.
Oh god. Okay.
So this is where I think I might lose you.
All right. I'm also wearing a Batman shirt right now, completely unrelated. Here we go.
So first, and I don't know how long we'll be able to talk about this because you haven't played it, but I think Spider-Man PS4 is better than all of the Arkham games.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to keep this one because you haven't played Spider-Man PS4, but I thought I could get under your skin a little bit with that.
I've played enough of it to like see where you're coming. Like for me, it's just a matter of preference. Like I feel like they're both really great games. Like I just prefer being Batman to being Spider-Man. So like totally fair. It's one of those things. Yeah.
But okay, fine. Then I'll follow up because my next take is sort of builds off of that. Because one of the things I think Spider-Man PS4 does better than the Arkham games is it has a more emotional story. Specifically, I don't know, like Batman being not emotional is like part of his character, but I think there's ways to make him connect more emotionally. And like I think the most emotional moment in the Arkham trilogy is supposed to be the Jason Todd stuff, but since I saw it coming from a mile away and like it was just kind of a retread of like a story I've seen a dozen times already. I just like wasn't about it. And like Spider-Man PS4, just if you haven't played it, I don't want to spoil anything, but by the end I was like in tears. And video games don't make me cry. Like in general, I've cried at very few video games. So my next take is that the majority of Batman movies and games, since that's how I'm getting to this, but specifically I was thinking about the movies, are devoid of heart and just emotion in general. Like they're good in their own ways, but part of what I love about superhero movies is that they can have like a lot of heart happening amongst all this. And I think as much as I love The Dark Knight, it's like a procedural. Like I am just like invested in the plot and the antics of this like crazy like clown villain who you don't know the motivations of.
Okay. Nope.
But I never gave a shit about Christian Bale's Batman. I honestly wasn't that sad when Rachel Dawes died. I wasn't connected to Harvey Dent's turn. And, I don't like The Dark Knight Rises. I don't think any of the emotions last in that. So I think the one exception is like Batman Returns because Catwoman's arc is pretty like strong in that in an emotional sense. But it's fine. I get it. Some people like it, but I've read Batman comics that get the emotional aspect right, and I would like to see that done better in the movies, but they're so afraid of doing Robin. They're so afraid of doing the Bat family, and like they're so afraid of lightening up even a little bit. I think the one movie that got it right in that sense, it wasn't even live action. Like Batman Returns gets a bit of it, but like the Lego Batman movie is the one that actually gets like the heart of the Bat family, which is what I think is like, such a major part of it, and they just never do it. And I think that's, kind of touched on a bit in the games, but not enough for me. Like, Batman's cool. He's one of my favorite superheroes, but like, there's so much more to him. I think if you would just like, pun intended, unmasked him a little bit more, and like, we got to see the person underneath it. Like, I get so bored with brooding loner Batman. Like, give me Batman with a heart. Give me Batman with a family.
Okay. Like, I feel like our biggest disconnect in terms of Batman is like his general purpose and like his general tone and like what he's supposed to tell the audience and like how his character is supposed to like relate to the audience. Like, I don't read Batman as like I am with Batman as the viewpoint character. Like, I read Batman as like I am studying a crazy person. Right. He's just fucking crazy. So, so you saying that there's no emotion in the Dark Knight trilogy, like, I'll concede the first two movies, The Dark Knight Rises, the whole thing, like, and
so
okay,
weak.
It's so weak. It's whatever. No, from the beginning of that movie, he's in hiding because he can't fucking deal with the fact that like, the person that he tried to open up with, like the person he loved, the woman he loved.
Yeah. And
then the one guy, he was like, you know what? I can see myself like trusting you and being like friends with you and like not like I can kind of release this burden of what I can be a person now.
Sure.
Both of them just gone like within the like, I don't know, week, 24 hours. I don't remember exactly how things happened in the movies, but like it all happens really, 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 really fast. You can't say anything about it. Like, I'm not going to be able to convince you on The Dark Knight Rises. Like,
I just don't think it connected. That's all. Like, I just think Nolan doesn't, in general, I don't think Nolan makes emotional movies. Like, and that's fine, like, whatever. But I feel like his movie...
hold on. You don't think Interstellar or Inception or The Prestige or Memento are like emotional movies?
My least favorite part of Inception was everything to do with the wife. My least favorite part of Interstellar was like everything to do with the ending, which was all about like him having this strong emotional like I just think Nolan doesn't get people. I really don't. I don't like think his characters feel real at all. And like again, The Dark Knight is like about philosophy and it's about like the city as a whole, but I just like I don't believe any of these people are real people. And that's fine for those movies, but ultimately it's why movies like Spider-Verse or Logan or even like Endgame will always be better to me than any Batman movie that we've gotten, is because they succeed in a lot of ways like The Dark Knight does, but they also actually have characters that I give a damn about. Like emotionally speaking, at least. And that I believe when like, you know, they interact with each other and stuff like that. Like I love Michael Caine as Alfred, but he's just delivering speeches the whole time, and they're well-written speeches. But when he leaves at the beginning of The Dark Knight Rises, I was like, okay, I don't care. Like I don't buy it.
You literally took the most emotional. Okay, so first of all, you said this movie is devoid of emotion, or this series is devoid of emotion, and then you take the most emotional part of arguably the series, and no, I'm not gonna say. Yeah, let's say the series actually. I'll double down on that, and then you say that was just him speaking lines. Like if it didn't work for you, I feel like it's different than it not being there. And like, to me, there is emotion there. I think it's valid. I give a shit about the people that I'm watching on screen whenever I play. And going back to the Batman games initially, like I was in tears for a good hour of Arkham Knight. Knowing all the Jason Todd stuff, like full spoilers, whatever, like knowing all the Jason Todd stuff, like getting over the fact that I was stalking the fuck out of this game, hearing WB Montreal being, or just WB Games being like, oh, this is a new character, we're making him from the ground up specifically for this game. And then 30 minutes into the game, me being like, oh shit, that's Jason Todd. Like even with all of that, just the idea, like to me, the emotion of Batman comes from like his feeling of guilt toward not protecting his city, which is because he feels like the city didn't protect him as a young kid. So it's like this loop of like, anytime he doesn't do well or anytime he fails, like in The Dark Knight Rises, when he's in the fucking prison, like watching everything that's going down in Gotham, like it's not just like, oh, this is sad that it's happening to me. It's like, or this is happening to home. It's just like, I'm sad. That's creating more sad kids out there. I could have stopped this and I failed. It's like a very, 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 very internal, like, no, he doesn't. Like, I don't know. To me, that's why I think him having a Bat family should most always end with him being mad at them and pushing them away in some way. Oh. Like, it's not so much I'm not in it for if I wanted to be told everything is going to be okay, I'd read Superman. Or if I don't know, if I want to laugh, I would read The Flash. If I want to like think about, you know, the individual's role in society, and like Bruce Wayne is a weird example because we can get into the whole, he got his money probably from slavery and shit like that. Like I've seen those articles before and I buy into them, but I'm also like, I feel like the psychosis of the Batman is so fucking interesting and like so shrouded in like if you had to, I don't know, like angry might not be the best, like tired. He's just exhausted. Like he's an exhausted soul, and like whether or not he's friendly, whatever, I don't think it's the point. And I honestly forgot what the initial hot take that you said was. I'm just like, so I want to watch Batman now. Like I haven't like really critically thought about Batman in a while, and now I'm back fucking in it. Like all right. Gosh,
well, I have another Batman one, but I'll let you go because that was.
I mean, mine kind of carries off of the Batman one. Okay. I think Joker from this past year, I think it deserves all the hype that it's been getting. Like I don't.
Okay.
I personally think that. I know that a lot of the criticism I've seen has not even necessarily said that it's not a good movie, just that it's not deserving of the hype. Really? And that's, I mean, yeah, because like
I've seen a lot of people just say it's absolutely terrible. As much as I've seen people say it's amazing, but
for me, the spectrum, it's been a few people say it's. No one in my bubble has said it's like God tier yet. Like really? I think, from what I can remember, like I've seen it's really good. I've seen it's good, but it's not nearly what people are saying it is. I haven't seen anyone say that it's straight up bad yet, though. Like, what are?
Oh wow, we are not talking to the same people then. No,
when I say my bubble, I mean like just my Twitter, my YouTube, like the people that I physically actually talk to.
I've seen a few people agree with me on it, but I think the majority of people I've seen have either been very hot or cold on it, and I actually have as one of my takes that I think Joker is just fine. Like,
really?
I think it is like I have an ongoing list of my top 50 favorite superhero movies, and it's like I think either in the high 20s or the low 30s. It's like mid-range. I think it's very excellently crafted, but as a story, I like it stuck with me for a few hours and like maybe the next day, but like after I eventually just stopped like it was just the initial shock of the ending. But again, I don't think it really says a whole lot. I do a whole video on this you can check out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Edward Wilshire, where I just talked about how it doesn't really have anything to say, and that's fine. It tries to, and it doesn't succeed, and that's fine. The performance is excellent. The design of it is excellent. The cinematography is excellent. The score is excellent. But the story it's telling is just fine. And I think overall the movie comes together and it's just fine. But I think it's okay that it's just fine. Like, I don't need it to win Best Picture, but I also don't need to like read another think piece on why it's dangerous. Like, I think like the discourse around it has made it this thing that it isn't. Like, I think it's just fine. Like, I just, I mean, I think Dark Knight is 10 times better. I think Heath Ledger's Joker to me is still like untouchable. Like, I think Joaquin's great, but I think Heath Ledger is still like way past him. And I think like if we're just talking about stuff that's come out this year, I like Shazam, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Endgame all more than I liked Joker. I just think they all do more with their characters and tell stories that I care a lot more. I mean, clearly, like, I think I care a lot more about like connecting emotionally with my characters than you do. Like, that seems to be a reoccurring theme. Like, I'm a Superman guy, you're a Batman guy. Like, just right there. Like, I care more about like loving characters and seeing them succeed than I do about like, being I don't know, like
being depressed. No, just saying
being depressed, like being like losing faith in the world. Like, I'm not necessarily an optimist, but I'm a cynic, but I'm an optimist. I'll say it that way. Like, and I just like, I appreciate, Joker was fine. It doesn't have to be this big thing. It's good. Give Joaquin an Oscar, but the movie doesn't need to be nominated for Best Picture. Come on. Endgame did accomplish more. Like,
So I'll just gonna fold it all into this. I had an Endgame hot take, which is essentially, if you didn't like Endgame, that's on you. Like, like if you didn't like Endgame, that's 100% your fault. Like, and I'm not saying that Endgame was for everyone, but like, if you weren't a part of the ride for the last 11, like I don't know, I got made fun of for like, and you can attest to this, the movie's 3 hours long. Within the first 15 minutes, I started crying and I did not stop.
Me too. I started crying within the first scene. Yeah.
So like, and we were there. Like, we were there for Iron Man 1. Same with
Infinity War too.
I mean, Infinity War for me was like once you know what the fuck happened. Once the snap happened, I was about to say we shouldn't spoil Infinity War.
I think we can spoil Infinity War and Endgame at this point. Anyone who would watch this podcast or listen to this podcast has probably seen or at least knows what happened. So
and if you didn't, again, it's your fault. It's just like one of those things where if I don't understand the criticisms hurled at Endgame that I've heard of, just like. Like, oh, well, they don't get to focus on like one character for long enough. And like, if you just walk into this movie without seeing any of it, if you walk into this movie without seeing any other Marvel movie before that, and then you walk out like, oh, I didn't know who anyone was. The movie did a bad job. No, you did a bad job. It's your fault. Let it go. All that stuff.
It's called Endgame, not self-contained game. So
all of that said, circling back to Joker, if I was to give like the comic book movie of the year, I would give it to Joker, even though it's not a comic book movie. Like, my least favorite parts of that movie are the Batman, like, shoo-ins.
I agree with that. It's definitely like, shoehorned in. Yeah.
Like, I didn't appreciate that. I remember. Are we gonna spoil Joker? I feel like if you're within the bubble,
I can put a time code. Check the time codes, and you can skip to the next one if you want to hear Joker spoilers starting now. So
when they teased the idea that Joker was Thomas Wayne's older son, my first thought was like, oh shit, that's bad. Don't ever do that. Don't you ever do that. Like, that's way too close to Batman. That's way too much Like, I didn't need the clown turning the corner with, the wings there. Honestly, if they just left it at the clown turning the corner, I would have thought, fucking beautifully done. Fantastically
we didn't
done.
need to see the pearls hit the ground again, for sure.
No, once I saw her wearing the pearls, I was like, I swear to fucking God. Like, but okay, so all of that said, I feel like with Joker, like, the conversation surrounding it has gotten bigger than the movie itself, but I still think that the movie is worth all of the praise that it gets. Because I think, like, from beginning to end, I was like tense. I was with it. He's like they do a good enough job of, okay, stick with me as I say this. Is going to sound scary. Just as he further descends into, his own insanity or whatever, they don't do it in a jarring enough fashion to where, like, from one scene to the next, it's not like, yo, what the fuck? It's like, okay, from the scene that you just saw, you can see how this would descend. I think with the use of, like, the imagery throughout, the music, I hate how, like, I genuinely do hate how much the Joker people over, like, I'm not a big fan of Joker people. Like, I don't like the fact that all those people flooded the stairs in the Bronx. That's not okay. Like,
people who, like, identify with this movie really strongly and stuff like that. Yeah.
Under no like, the movie wants you to, like, identify with, like, feelings that under no circumstances should you just be like, oh yeah, Arthur Fleck is my dude. Like, when he shot Robert De Niro, you should not have been like, yeah. Which I've heard some people say, and that's not okay. That's terrifying. That's fucked up.
Yeah. We should not murder people on live TV.
No, bad. In 2019, bad. But, like,
that's my hot take.
Murder bad. Hottest take. Murder bad. But I don't know. Like, I still haven't stopped thinking about it. Like, and it's the remixes of the Robert De Niro getting shot in the face scene have been some of the funniest memes of 2019 and some of the most inappropriate things I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. But, like, as much as people will overhype it, I think it's worth, like, okay, with the amount of overhype out there, I'll say it's worth 85% of the hype that it's getting. And I stand by that. I stand by it.
That's the thing. I just, like, it's a movie that was ruined to me almost before it came out by all the conversation surrounding it. And I tweeted before it came out that I was almost excited to see the Joker as I was to never talk about the Joker with anyone ever again. And I still kind of feel that way. Like, I just think, like, just the whole reaction to it being so extreme, I'd just rather, like, everyone just be like, it was good, and then we move on. Like, I there's other movies I'd rather talk about as much as I have the Joker, and that's why it's just, like, middle of the road for me. But I fully admit that it's outside influences that have made me feel that way. I think I'd probably have enjoyed it more, because I saw it a second time. I think I would have enjoyed it more the second time had I not heard anyone's reaction to it. Because the first time I was fully engrossed in it, the second time I was thinking about it a lot more, especially having seen it. And so.
I mean, and I guess I love the conversation surrounding it. So again, just one of those.
I just think it's hard to have a hot take about this movie at this point, which is why my hot take was just that it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. In the vein of the Joker, this is I think that Jared Leto's Joker, well, by no means a better performance than Joaquin Phoenix.
Watch
No.
Let's okay.
No. I think it did get too much hate. And I think in terms of authenticity to the comics, which is what a lot of Joker fans complained about with Jared Leto's Joker, I felt like it reminded me more of the Joker that I've read in certain comics or seen in certain cartoons than the Joker in Joker. And I think part of that is that Todd Phillips wasn't trying to make a comic book movie, and that's clear to me, and that's fine. Like, I don't care if you're accurate to the comics. That is not a barometer of quality to me.
Okay. I want to point out there are enough hard Easter eggs in Joker for Todd Phillips to say, I'm not trying to, like, draw from the comics or whatever. Like, I get what he's trying to say in terms of I'm not trying to make a comic book movie. I get that. But to, like, try to distance yourself from the source material that you are ripping from to make me go, ooh, every, like, couple seconds on screen. Like, to that response, I don't like that. Okay. Please continue.
Well, just, like, the main things that Jared Leto's Joker gets shit for is that he's, like, more of, like, a crime boss than he is, like, the Joker, like, the more, like, anarchistic Joker or whatever. And I felt like Gangster Joker or, like, Hot Topic Joker wasn't that off. Like, he is in a lot of variations of the Joker, he is essentially a mob boss. Like, the Jack Nicholson's Joker, which a lot of people love, is literally a mob boss turned nuts. And I don't mind that interpretation of the Joker. It is a take. It is not a good or a bad take to me. It is just an interpretation of it. So I really think his interpretation of the Joker is valid as much as any of the other ones. Also, just in general, and this is probably fair, but that movie's terrible, and I think he gets a lot of the shit for it that isn't warranted. I think had he had more screen time, the movie would have been better. You know. I also
think
he's much better than the Enchantress in that movie.
I disagree with that. I think that was okay. So with Jared Leto, I think a part of the reason his Joker is so like vocally hated is that like. I mean, okay, because no one went back and started like shitting on Tommy Lee Jones when Aaron Eckhart did the new Two-Face. Like it's not so much the comparison to other to me, it's like. So before the movie even came out, we're hearing about him sending a box of bullets to Will Smith and a dead rat to Margot Robbie.
All that stuff's bad. I agree. I'm just talking about like the performance on screen and that take on the character.
I do not think you can separate the two though, because if you're just watching this as a horrible movie, then you would just brush off the Jared Leto Joker as, you know, like I feel like the reason he's still a talking point is because there was so much hype and all of the like I remember when the images came out and like my first thought when they showed the images of him with like the smile tattoo and the damage, whatever, and just looking like meth head Joker.
Yeah.
At first I was like, this is an abomination. And then I was like, well, maybe they're doing a fun, edgy new take on the character. And then I thought, well, maybe this is Jason Todd and they're doing the whole, he turns into Joker and then the, whatever, all this shit, which if someone at DC still is trying to put that together, God bless them, but please don't.
No, that's not happening.
Yeah, like I tried to.
He's never coming back.
I tried to give it the leeway of like everything leading up to the Suicide Squad was telling me, "Yo, fuck this Joker," and like not a fun like the way that they're in on it way. Like no, like this is just going to be a bad interpretation of the Joker.
Yeah, and
then you get in there, and he's just like I get that the Joker is supposed to be like weird, just how he carried himself. Like it's like someone described the Joker to him, but he had never seen a Joker before, like any interpretation of the Joker before. Mm-hmm. Like he's in my head, like for my personal headcanon, the Joker is Mark Hamill, you know, Batman the Animated Series / the Justice League Joker. Like that to me, perfect amount of like zany, scary. Like there's an episode where, like the Joker was about to kill some dude, and then the dude was like, "Please, I'll owe you a favor," and then Joker's just like, "Okay." And then dips for fucking 5 years and then comes back when the guy's like married with a kid and is like, hey, here's the favor. I need you to whatever. Blah. Like that is awesome to me. Mm-hmm. Jack Nicholson being a mob boss. I agree. I mean, yes. With like I was about to say like, oh, well, yeah, but I'm trying to extrapolate. No, like, yeah, he was the mob boss. I don't see Jared Leto's Joker being a mob boss as the problem. It's like, oh, I know that Joker has a toxic relationship with Harley Quinn. And then you see a toxic relationship with Harley Quinn on screen, but not the toxic relationship with Harley Quinn. It's
that's the thing. I think it's more his like the way they use him in the story, I think is worse than the actual take on the character.
I just, every second he was on screen, it was like, and I'm trying to separate like, you know, what I think of the Joker versus what he's trying to do with it. Cause like if I walked into like Joker with Joaquin Phoenix expecting Mark Hamill, I was not going to get that. Yeah. So like, but I still loved, you know, Arthur Fleck. I loved that interpretation of the Joker. I could still see that as like, like in the Crisis of Infinite Earths, where all the Jokers come together to, you know, plot against Batman. All the other Jokers kill Jared Leto's Joker first, and then they go do whatever they're going to do. Like he seems like that, like just so not a part of. And it could, again, just my personal Joker headcanon. He's just so far removed. And then as a character without the history of the Joker, he's just weird and dumb.
I don't know. I just don't think he's that far. Like, I agree he's the worst one we've seen live action, but I just don't think he's that far from the others, like in terms of what they were going for. Again, execution is one thing. Mailing used condoms to Margot Robbie is not a good look, but like the actual choices they made in designing that character and scripting him, I don't think were bad. I think like if Jared Leto being probably a bad dude aside, if they had decided to bring his Joker back in like Birds of Prey or something, I would be down for it. I'd be like, let's see what happens if they tried this again. But whatever. That's just how I feel.
Okay. So this is more broad, and this is fine, but I don't think everyone's opinion matters when it comes to certain discussions of art and like pop culture and stuff like that. And like, obviously, trolls and stuff are not a part of the conversation. They don't offer opinions. They're just trying to incite. But like, to the people that like, I don't feel like I would be a good critic of the Assassin's Creed franchise. I personally don't like any Assassin's Creed. I've played more Assassin's Creed games in existence than not, or like I've put hands on, you know? So like, I feel like I should have an impression, but also if the official list of Assassin's Creed games were coming out and I had fucking clout in that decision making, like, I don't agree with that. And like, I feel like when it comes to like, I don't know, just different fandoms, I feel like you enjoying something does not give you ultimate say of like, or like, just if you saw something first, or like in relation to the Evangelion subreddit and like just the Evangelion fandom, I fucking like, I've seen the series through once. I watched the movie once. I have been horribly scarred since, but I still cherish those memories. So going through and watching people like get upset over like oh, this is the definitive meaning, because like the last few episodes of that show are like really like up in the air. Like, oh, well, like I was alive when it first came out, so I know because of blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. Shut the fuck up. No, you don't. Like, that is your opinion.
Yeah.
Like, until, I can't remember his name, until the creator of the show comes out and says definitively this is, you know, like if you are citing the creator, then yeah, sure, we should have that conversation. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like just because you put in so many hours into something doesn't mean that your opinion like means any more than anyone else's. But also, if you have 0 hours put into something, don't think that your opinion should have any kind of clout. Like,
I agree. You should have to play a game before you can criticize it, or watch a movie before
games.
you have to.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Well, I think I agree with you, but I think it's, for me, it's just a matter of all opinions are valid in the sense of like your opinion just represents your experience with something. I take more issue with the gatekeeping that can come along with what you're talking about. Like I think
guess the gatekeeping was the main.
I think like I think you can call yourself a Star Wars fan if you've only seen A New Hope, just like how you can call yourself a Star Wars fan if you've seen all 10 of them. But you know, if you're reading a review from someone who's never seen a Star Wars movie, that should be made clear, because that influences how they viewed it. But I don't think it's a matter of like one being more or less valid. It's just a different take with different, because it's not even just about how much you've seen. It's a matter of like, was I tired the day I saw that movie? You know, like, was I busy when I was trying to get through that RPG, so it felt longer than the other one I played? You know, like I think people should be more aware of the fact that you're never truly reviewing a movie. You're never truly reviewing a game. You're reviewing your experience of it. Which includes the fact that you're reviewing the room you were in when you were sitting and playing
if
it.
It's 3 degrees too cold, that's going to affect how you...
Exactly,
whether or not you know... Yeah, okay. I see.
Yeah.
So
I
honestly, it was more the gatekeeping that I
Mm-hmm.
was... Like, not, once you brought up the term specifically gatekeeping, that's kind of where I took issue. Like, I just don't enjoy... And I like with Watchmen and stuff like that. Like, I personally haven't seen this, but I know there are people that are just like, oh, well, if you haven't read the comic, then like this show is not for you. And like...
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to one of our friends, Aaron, about like something happened in the show that like if you read the comic, you've just been like, it's been common knowledge. You know that this event happened, like, you know, and he had no idea. And the show was playing with the idea that like the people in the universe don't know what happened in the comic, but we as the audience do know what happened in the comic. So there's this level of like dramatic irony. But if you've never read the comic, there is no dramatic irony. You're just experiencing what the characters are experiencing. And in that situation, like when Aaron, when he asked, like, oh yeah, what is this? Blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh yeah, it's in the comics. He was like, should I read it? And I'm like, fucking no. Like, if you're enjoying the show like this, like I'm so vastly interested in learning about his experience with the show. We're watching the exact same thing. We both love the same like technical bits of it, but like just with the personal bias of like having read it one time a while ago versus never having been exposed to this before. Like,
I think it comes down to like whether or not people recognize the subjectivity of this stuff in general, because it's like, I agree with you. I agree with your take that if you have like going back to the Endgame thing, if you criticize Endgame because you didn't understand it, but you've never seen a Marvel movie, I don't necessarily think it's that your opinion's invalid, but if you try to invoke your opinion as like like this is a legitimate critique of it objectively, like then fuck you, because you're missing the point. Like same thing with like, you know, I if you don't like a certain video game because you don't have experience with that genre, that's valid. Like I don't like strategy games that much because I just like I don't have the patience for them. I never got used to them. But I'm not going to go around and tell people StarCraft is better. You know, like, just not going to do that. That's a waste of my time. It's a waste of their time. Again, my experience is valid with those games, but like,
just your, I don't know.
I think like, it's a good summary for this whole episode, or for this whole bit with the hot takes, is that like, you know, we like the whole idea of a hot take is like,
you go in knowing it's going to be controversial.
Yeah, like a hot take. A hot take is only like a hot take is never wrong. It's just like it's like your opinion's valid no matter what. Just like know the context, like so you can understand how you get reacted. Know the lore. Like, I just or don't and admit it. Like, okay, so I want to speed round through these last few. Yeah,
go for it, because I don't have that many like spicy boys.
So real quick, I'll just explain this one, and then I'll go into the next one that's kind of attached to it. So I personally, as a big MCU fan, I don't think there are any bad MCU movies. I genuinely think they're all well constructed. They all have good acting, good effects, good like prop design, set design, world design. I think they all nail like just basic Hollywood story structure down, and like the ones that typically get identified as the worst, like Thor Dark World, Iron Man 2.
That's the hottest take of the show.
The first Thor, like a lot of these ones that get identified, Captain Marvel for some people. Like the ones that not counting the people who have like sexist take on it. But I mean, there are a lot of people who don't have that opinion on it, but that still don't love the movie. Like it is in the lower rung of my favorite. But I think they get mostly shit on because they just get overshadowed by other movies. Not that they in and of themselves are bad. Like I've always felt that if you took Dark World and released it before, like, you know, as like the 6th movie in the MCU or whatever, it would be considered like, it's the fact that it is like when it comes out, it's like there are better movies being released around it. But I think like as it stands, if you watched that movie in 2004, it'd be crazy. Like the shit that they do in that movie, you know, like Iron Man 3, I think gets too much shit, you know? Like, I think, like, you know, I just think Marvel movies are the cool thing to shit on. Just ask Scorsese. Like, they are the most popular game in town, so, you know, it's also the biggest target. And, like, I get that. I'm not surprised by it. But I don't think, like, you know, like in the way most people look at movies objectively, like via like plot structure, story, like all these like basic mechanical aspects of filmmaking, I think all the MCU movies are just generally pretty fucking well made. Like there's no Cars 2 of the MCU. Like
I really, really hate Ant-Man and the Wasp. Purely because of I think Ghost is like so distractingly bad as a villain that it just draws away from the rest of the movie, but I know that that's just a me thing.
Yeah, and there are people like the Ant-Man movies are again on the lower half for me, but like I just like those are like every MCU movie is well reviewed. People like forget that like when they talk about how bad Iron Man 2 or Thor 2 are. It's like those are like those are movies that have majority good reviews. They're successful movies. Like you can shit on Marvel movies if you don't like them. I'm not saying that's not valid. I'm just saying like to act like there's an MCU failure is kind of not true, because financially, critically, like they've all been successes. And I think people miss that. But because I don't want to come off entirely as a Marvel shill, I am, but I kind of think Ragnarok's overrated.
Really?
I think it's definitely the best of the 3 Thor movies, but I think Dark World's underrated, and I think Ragnarok's overrated, and part of that is I think it was a bit of an overcorrection. Like, there are parts aesthetically of the first 2 Thor movies I really like. I like that it was like this fantasy thing in the MCU, and Ragnarok just, I think, just tries to be Guardians, and it doesn't do it as well. Like, I think it's about the same. Like, I love Guardians too. You've definitely convinced me a lot on that, but I think Ragnarok tries, like, a little, like, I don't know. I like it. It's funny, but I just think it doesn't. The Guardians movies are more visually interesting. Like I just think there was like a lot of visual things clashing in Ragnarok. I also thought Hela was kind of overrated. And yeah, but that's just, I don't want to spend too much time on that. So yeah,
I get it. I get it. I disagree, but I get it.
And another comic books one. This is a comic book movie one. This came up last year, but I think the Spider-Man 3 is better than Dark Knight Rises, and overall, I think the Spider-Man trilogy is a stronger trilogy in terms of all 3 working together than the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah, that one's for you, buddy. That one's for you.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong. It's not even. Okay, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, Dark Knight is the best of the 6 movies, but I just think overall as a trilogy, it's more. They actually build off of each other, I think, in a better way. Okay, guys, technical issues are not on our side.
No.
We probably could give a few more takes each. I'm sorry you didn't really get to fit in too many there. If you want to just rattle 1 or 2 off right now, go for it.
I don't have that many hot takes. I think Destiny 2 is genuinely going to go down as one of the greatest games of this generation, purely off of the updates since Bungie split from Activision. I think that this is nothing to do with pop culture. I think that non-costume Halloween parties should become more popular than costumed Halloween parties because I like going out on Halloween, but I also hate dressing up. I think Glow is the most underrated show of 2019. I think Apple Arcade is way better than anyone's giving it credit for.
Okay. Nice.
Games don't need to be fun to be good. Death Stranding. Okay, that's it.
I agree with that last one. I really like that take. I think people focus too much on games having to be fun. They can be a lot of things. Like movies don't have to be entertaining. Like
like you can as long as you get the point that they're trying to present to you.
Speaking of which, though, I just want to give this one because this is like the last one I thought of. I don't think any snow or ice levels in video games are fun, and I just don't like that setting in general because everything always looks the same. Hoth is boring to me. Everything's boring when it's just covered in snow and it all looks the same. And water levels are better than snow and ice levels, so there you go.
No. Yes. Water levels, no. I disagree.
Water levels suck, but snow and ice levels are more aesthetically boring to me. Water levels are some of the most beautiful levels in certain games, like Dire Dire Docks in Super Mario 64, which I shat on at the beginning of this episode. But hey, Sunshine is like entirely a water level, so there you go. That's why I love
7 out of 10, too much water.
There you go. I love Pokemon Generation. I have Ruby and Sapphire. I love Hoenn. I love the water there. I love Sunshine. You know, early 2000s Nintendo really fiended for water. So Wind Waker, there you go. That's another one.
Honestly, yeah.
Yo, seriously, Game Boy Advance era, Nintendo fucking loved water.
No, honestly, they were just like, yo, we just figured out how to do water, like how to make water look good in video games everywhere. Water fucking everywhere.
All right, so yeah, obviously the quality of this has dropped a bit, but we appreciate you guys sticking through with us. I know this was another long episode, but those time codes are there for a reason, so continue to use those. Continue to use the clip outs on the YouTube channel. You've got a bunch of options there. Follow us all around, and it's all on the description and everything. Definitely follow us on Twitter at Defined Loosely and Instagram at Loosely Defined. Those are key. And yeah.
And where can I find you personally?
I was just gonna leave it all in the description, but eWillShire Prime
Brother
on Twitter.
Stay loose.
All right. Hashtag stay loose.
Stay loose.
It's kind of fizzled out here, but we love you.
We love.
We love. All right. Goodbye.